Hi, I'm Andrea. Thanks for joining me for this 30-minute yoga practice. Always nice to have a chair. This one we won't necessarily use the chair. Sometimes I'm sort of insistent. This isn't really one of those. But it is nice for you to have a couple of blocks. If you don't have those, then sturdy, thick books would be great. A folded blanket, maybe that's just the throw blanket from your couch, or a thick bath towel. I do happen to be standing on a yoga mat. If you don't have one, just find a place that's carpeted, something that's not too slippery. And if you situate yourself so that the short edge of your mat is facing me, or what would be the short edge of your mat, I think you're going to be able to watch me most effectively. I'm also going to move myself in ways that will help you to see what I'm up to. Once you've got what you need, we'll start facing the long edge of our mat, standing in our mountain pose. And again, if it's tricky to see me, just face me, and then you can relocate when you need to, because I know what comes next, which is going to want the long edge of our mat in a second. So first, stand in your mountain. Turn your palms away from each other and have a soft bend in your knees. Feet about hip distance and parallel, so it doesn't look like we're standing in a ballet position. And then lean back just a little so it feels like ears over shoulders, over hips, over heels. Gaze out at what I like to call our bright horizon. That will keep your chin parallel to the ground. And we take a moment and pause. Land. Climb into our breath. Rich, deep, full inhales. And complete exhales. Two more moments here, just being and breathing. Now take your arms out wide. This is the part I was talking about in terms of needing the length of your mat. Thumbs to the sky. Step out and basically measure that your ankles are underneath your wrists. We may need to adjust that, it's likely, but this is a starting alignment place. Always thumbs to the sky here so we don't scrunch our shoulders into our ears. And then turn your right foot so that it faces the short edge of your mat, but let that happen in your hip joint, so it's not at your knee or at your ankle. And then when you bend your front knee, this is where we take our real measurement of knee over ankle, so I need a little bit of a wider stance, and maybe you do too. Thumbs to the sky, a V shape as we straighten our front leg, and then bend your front knee and exhale. Inhale, arms overhead in a V shape, front leg straightens. Exhale, bend your front knee. We have a few more go-arounds like that. Straightening, arms in a V shape, thumbs to the sky the whole time. Bend your front knee. V shape, and we inhale. Exhale, bend the knee. Straighten, thumbs to the sky. Bend the front knee. Just a few more. If your tempo's different than mine, don't worry, it's perfect. Celebrate yours. Now, when you straighten your front leg again, thumbs to the sky, lower your arms alongside you. Turn all your toes to face that long edge of your mat. Get situated, and then second side. Turn your left leg out so your left foot faces the short edge. 45-degree angle with your back leg, your back foot. Thumbs to the sky. We'll measure, but we should be okay. Knee right over ankle. And then straighten that front leg, V shape, thumbs to the sky. Bend. And straighten. Let's see if we can coordinate. Exhale as we bend our knee. Inhale as we straighten, and the V shape, thumbs to the sky. Bend and straighten. And this is where you celebrate if your tempo is a little different than mine. Hopefully not like super speed racer fast, but maybe a little more syrupy slow. This dynamic movement, meaning we keep going, bend and straight, right, is a great warm-up. We'll do just a couple more. And then the next time that your front leg is straight, take the V-shaped thumbs to the sky and then float your arms alongside you, and carefully turn all toes to face the long edge of your mat. Make sure you're grounded, just like our first mountain pose grounding. And then turn your right leg out so that the right foot faces the short edge of your mat. Cheat your left heel at that 45-degree angle. Bend your front knee, warrior two. If you need more space, go for it. Thumbs to the sky. Super important. Now take your right forearm across your right thigh like a karate chop, and your front knee is bent deeply enough to be a bit of a shelf. Left thumb to the sky. That keeps all kinds of spaciousness happening between our shoulders and our ears. And that's true of both sides. So if you keep a little oomph in your right forearm, that will help you not to collapse. We want to feel the right hip hugging underneath, so we're not sticking our butt out back behind us. And it feels a little bit like your right hip is trying to get to your left toes. It will never get there, but it's trying. We'll stay with what's called side angle pose for a few breaths. If it feels like it's too much on this top arm, you can always weave that top arm behind your back. 2 more moments. Now if you can, keep the front legs straight, thumbs to the sky, warrior two. If you need a moment of bending and straightening, like we did just a moment ago, straighten away and then rebend when you can. Thumbs to the sky, we still don't have any shoulders in our ears, and we're here for a little while, so this sustained hold is another way of warming up. If it's too long with your arms, just lower your arms and bring them back up anytime. 3 moments just like this. Now slowly straighten the front leg, lower your arms. You thought I'd never ask. Turn your toes to face that long edge of your mat. Make sure you're landed. Get situated. Turn your left leg out so that your left foot faces the short edge of your mat. Cheat your right heel at that 45-degree angle. Bend your front knee, thumbs to the sky, arms outstretch. So first we land it in our warrior pose, and then left forearm across left thigh, right thumb to the sky. We're not collapsed into that shoulder. There's a little oomph. Left hip is hugging underneath us. The left hip now would like to make its way to our right toes, although sadly it never will do so. But it keeps trying. Make sure that it's thumb to the sky with the right hand, and if it's too much in that shoulder, feel free to weave that arm behind your back. Sometimes it feels better on our neck, especially after being in this pose for a little while, to look down, so feel free. A few moments here. We come upright. This is the part where you're welcome to straighten and rebend, lower arms and bring them back up. You might want to remind that left hip that it's trying to get to your right toes. Last couple moments as we hold the pose, but don't hold our breath. And then slowly lower your arms, straighten your front leg with musculature, and turn all toes to face the long edge of your mat. Feel like you're landed. And then heel toe, until we're hip distance apart. You can keep facing the way that you're facing, or turn to face me. I'm going to actually turn and face you a little bit more. We'll return to the stance of our mountain pose, the hip distance stance, not that really wide stance that we just came from. And then just shift your weight onto your right foot. And as you do, hug that right hip underneath you. So it's not shift the weight and then we fall to the side. We're using these side muscles, the hip stabilizers, and that's going to be important because we're going to have a lot less real estate as we come onto our left toes. And then step left foot across. If you want to use your chair, this is a great time to do it. So if this starts to feel a little wobbly, a little iffy, hand on a wall or hand on the back of the chair is perfect. Now if it feels like it's sort of, okay, and you can take a cue from the crisscross of your legs, it's spelling a middle line. We want to feel that. So now both sets of hips are hugging into the midline. Take your arms out in front of you and take your right elbow on top of your left elbow and give yourself a hug. If that feels too squished together, you can make an L shape with your right elbow on top of your hand. If you want to take it a step further than the hug, and I don't mean further in a way that it would be wrong to be hugging yourself, how could that not be the most advanced version? You could take your eagle feathers to the sky this way. So not if that pulls shoulders into ears, and I bet for a lot of us it does. So just keep hugging yourself or taking that little L shape with your arms. And we stay, hug the hips in for 3. And again for 2. Now first undo your arms, whichever they were. Take your hands to your hips so we remind our hips to stay stable as we dismount into our mountain pose and pause. And it makes this real estate feel really different, don't you think? Now shift your weight onto your left foot. Hug that left hip in and come onto your right toes. Make sure that you've got that stability in the standing leg. That's important for life, not just for poses. Now you can have your hand on the back of the chair, you can have your hand on a wall to help for this. Just take right foot over like a kickstand on the opposite side of your left foot. And then that reminds you to feel both sets of hips hug in and the crisscross of your legs that's giving you a middle line. Arms out in front of you, left elbow on top, and you give yourself a hug. Or left elbow becomes on top of the right hand, an L shape. Or perhaps your eagle feathers go to the sky. I think hugging yourself is lovely. Who doesn't need a little self-love these days, right? And then we balance. We balance the effort and the ease, the inhales and the exhales, and we're balancing a little bit on that left foot. Last few moments here. You can always take your hand to that chair or wall if it feels wobbly. Slowly unwind your arms and find something to assist if that would be handy. Then uncross your right ankle from over your left. Stand into your mountain and appreciate how steady it is, and that you can take with you outer hips hugging in as you stand and even as you walk out into the day. Step back to that wide edge of your mat. If you know that you like to use a chair for triangle pose, take your chair and locate it midway down your mat. If you think that you might want to use blocks, situate your blocks mindfully at that back long edge of your mat. So not underfoot. It's really important that we not put props underneath our feet and then trip ourselves, right? We want this to be mindful through and through. Take your wide stance, sort of like we did when we did our warrior pose, thumbs to the sky. Turn your right leg out so that your right foot faces the short edge of your mat. Cheat your left heel at that 45-degree angle. We're not doing a fold at the waist, we're doing a hinge at the hips. So let your left hip lift up. Really feel and notice that hinge at your right hip. And then as you reach longer, longer, longer with your right hand, take that hand either to a block that's tall on the outside of your right foot or onto the seat of your chair. And think about making the bottom ribs as long as you can. Keep that left thumb to the sky. The right hip is hugging underneath you, just like we discovered in our warrior pose, even though that front leg is straight. And you can press into your right big toe mound and feel the muscles in your feet come to life. They're helping to strengthen and protect your ankle and knee above them. Last couple moments here. Take your left hand onto your hip. Look down at your right foot and bend your knee. And especially if you have a block, just move it off your mat and out of the way. Firm through your belly, come upright. Same thing if you're using your chair. Just take your hand off your chair, turn all toes to face the long edge of your mat. Make sure you're grounded and good. And then turn your left leg out so your left foot's facing the short edge of your mat. Cheat your right heel now at that 45-degree angle. Thumbs to the sky, arms wide out to our side. We're not doing a side bend, we're doing a hip hinge. So you really feel a cut at the hip. Your right hip is lifting back behind you. Reach as long out with that left hand as you can, and then find either the seat of your chair or the tall block underneath your left hand. Right thumb to the sky, and now left hip hugs underneath you. You feel the left big toe mound press into your mat, and aliveness to your feet, the muscles in your calves. Bottom ribs feel long. I like to think of my inner upper arms spinning away from each other so they don't collapse and come into my ears. They're spinning away and there's space. Take a few moments here. Right hand onto your hip. Take a look down and bend your left knee. Move your block so that it's not going to be underfoot. Come all the way upright. Turn all of your toes to face the long edge of your mat and make sure that you're landed. And then heel toe until your feet are hip distance. And you are free to move about the cabin. Make your way to the front edge of your mat. Feet hip distance. We'll take a little sun salutation that will bring us to the floor. Inhale, arms out and up, a V shape, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hinge at your hips and take your hands onto the tops of your thighs. Inhale your heart forward. Maybe the chair is helpful as you mindfully transition onto the floor. Once we're on the floor, props out of the way, meaning like chair and blocks props, but another prop makes its way into the spotlight, and that's our folded blanket. I like mine to be folded pretty tall. Sometimes I actually even like to use a cushion from my couch, something even taller. Well, come side saddle and let me explain it to you as I face you. So you're gonna sit your right hip onto your perch, which is that folded blanket or whatever else you've got, and then think side saddle with your right foot pretty close to the top of your left thigh and your right hand on the ground, or if you would prefer it, your right hand onto a block so that we can get the uplift of our spine. Now, as we're here, you'll start to turn and take the back of your left hand to the top of your right thigh, and you can even shift your gaze. So sometimes if you have a block there, it reminds you not to collapse and turn, but instead to grow tall, and then ever so gently, a little twist. Stay with it here. Splash your shoulders down your back and lift your heart. Maybe close your eyes. A few moments here. Now turn your gaze, oh so slowly, unwind. It could be that you want to transfer your block to the other side, so maybe we do that first. And then just lean back and put your feet on the ground. Scoot so that you now have your left hip on your bolster or your folded blanket. Left foot comes very close to the top of your right thigh, and then left hand on your block or on the ground. Right back of the hand to the outside of your left thigh, and then inhale, grow tall, and exhale, little loving nudge into our twist. We'll stay here for a few moments. It's a place to meditate. Now slowly and gently unwind. Stay on your perch. Place your feet hip distance, and we'll find a wide-legged seat. So you can take your legs, they don't have to be that wide because you'll probably feel quite a bit in the inner thighs. The other thing that you might do is bend your knees a bit if it's pretty tight in the hamstrings and in the inner thighs, which I would say is the majority of us. The other thing is I don't want it to look like you're rounded in your spine, right? We want to think about being upright. So you could situate your 2 blocks or books on either side of your hips and press in to your hands on those bolsters, those blocks or books, and lift your heart. Maybe all you need to do here with your bent knees is to start to move towards straight, and that's plenty. It's great. Curl your toes back towards you. If somehow this is quite available and open, a hinge at the hip, you could walk a little bit forward, but we're not going to round our spine. We're just not going to. And we're not really interested in getting close to the ground. Think of it as a place where we can meditate on the meditations we actually have already done in the fiery standing poses. In a way, this looks like a triangle, sort of. Remember how we were silent there? Let's let a sprinkling of that triangle silence and stretch find us here. 1 full minute, I'll be quiet. You're welcome to stay just like this if it really is hitting the spot. Maybe walk up, turn to your right. Remember how we were turning in our side saddle and we were tall? We want to find that. And then when you exhale, left ribs make their way towards that right inner thigh. This is probably more than enough. I want you to really feel your left sit bone into the ground. So this is not a matter of lifting up that sit bone. And then you could hip hinge a little bit, but my guess is you don't have to go very far to feel a whole lot. You're just aiming your chest over that right leg, and you're making sure that the rounded spine is not invited to this party either. Now a full minute of silence here. You can do it. A little meditation. If you happen to have turned to the right leg, just gently wander through center, but keep your long spine if you don't mind. Keep wandering until you are facing your left leg, you're framing your left leg. Now inhale, grow taller, really anchor your right sit bone into your cushion here, and then just think right ribs towards left inner thigh. You might walk a little further forward, but that's not really the objective. If you're getting feedback, you're feeling a stretch and you're feeling your spine long, meditate on it. That's what we're doing. A full minute of silence here. If you're framing your left leg, let's just make it symmetrical, which means let's bring it back to the center where some of you may have stayed the whole time. and then firm through your belly and come upright. A seated, cross-legged position meditation. Doesn't matter to me which shin you put in front, so just help it along. Bend your knees. You can hold the backs of your thighs. Create a cross-legged seat that's really not so much across at the ankles as it is aiming ankles underneath knees, and you're forward on your sit bones on your cushion. So if you feel yourself rocking back, that's going to be that rounding spine that we want to get away from. Palms can go up or down. There's no rule book that says you have to close your eyes when you meditate. If that makes you uncomfortable, a soft gaze towards the ground is perfect. We are going to be here for a couple of minutes, and you know what? Your mind is going to wander. It is. You're a human being. If you want a little something to focus it on, using your breath, silently tell yourself, let on your inhale, go on your exhale. Or if you prefer it, thank on the inhale, you on the exhale. Eyes closed or soft gaze. Let go. Thank you. 2 minutes. Give you the option to take agency over your own practice. Either finish here in a seated meditation, which is what I'm going to do, or feel free to shake your legs out gently and lie down and do our final Shavasana meditation as we often do. You decide. You're the expert. I'm the guide. One final meditation, either lying down or we stay seated. Let go. Thank you. 1 minute. If you opted to stay in the seated meditation, just stay right where you are. If you're lying down in Shavasana, bend your knees into your chest. Carefully roll to either side. And use your hands so that your head can be the last thing to come up and it doesn't feel jarring to return to your seat. Palms go up or down. And although we did an official seated meditation, really, our whole practice is a movement meditation. And you know what else is a meditation? Our life. Life is like a movement meditation too. Meditate on it. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I'm Andrea, and I look forward to us doing this together again soon.